Greetings, my name is Yosafat Mikhael Halim, a final year student of International Business Management from Petra Christian University. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to open with something general that is concerned by students who are about to graduate in the near future. What am I going to do after this? There are so many alternatives, like directly pursuing the master's degree or directly working. But even though one chooses to directly work, there is still a dilemma whether to work as a professional or to work as an entrepreneur. There are so many choices, so now I would like to begin my presentation entitled Destination Future, Going to the Next Level. In this presentation, I will explain about myself, what I have learned, how I apply what I have learned, and what I want to be in 1, 3, 5, and 10 years from now. This video is in regards about the social media project assigned by Professor Casey Chan. And now, I would like to begin my presentation using the framework 6 A's developed by Professor Casey Chan.
In awareness, I will explain about myself from the 5 self-assessment tests given by Professor Casey Chan, which are the learning style, the entrepreneur deity test, the Big 5 personality test, the Bellbit's 9 team roles, and the leadership self-assessment test. Let me begin with the first one. In learning style, I scored 5 in activist, 18 in reflector, 19 in theorist, and 12 in pragmatist. Therefore, my 2 strongest points are reflector and theorist. It means that I think things in detail before taking action, do a lot of preparation and listen more than I talk. From the theorist's perspective, it means I use concepts and models and prefer logical and analytical approach to solve things. Let's move on to the second test, the entrepreneurship deity test. In this test, I fall short in being an entrepreneur since my total score is only 29. While the average score is 30 to 48. Therefore, this is a great warning for me to improve myself in the future because I want to be an entrepreneur. My score in order from the highest is 6 in drive and determination and calculated risk-taking, 5 for need for achievement and creative tendency, 4 for independent achievement, 2 for proactivity, and 1 for need for autonomy. From this, I can see that I have a lot to do if I am really planning to be an entrepreneur. Therefore, I need to be more independent and more active to improve my need for autonomy and proactivity score. Let's move on to the third test, the Big 5 personality test. In this test, I scored 23 in conscientiousness, 22 in agreeableness, 21 in openness to experience, 15 in extroversion, and 13 in neuroticism. Looking at my 2 strongest points, which are conscientiousness and agreeableness, it means that it is good to be a leader because those 2 traits are essential to lead by example and to show respect to the voice of the stakeholders. My low score is in neuroticism, meaning I have quite high emotional intelligence and will not have a mood swing easily. Let's move on to the fourth test, the Bellbit's 9 team roles. I'm considered a specialist and coordinator since I scored the highest in those 2, which are 11 and 9 respectively. Therefore, as a specialist in a team, I have a role as someone who is self-starting, dedicated, and providing knowledge and skills in rare supply. And then, as a coordinator, I have a role as someone who clarifies goals, promotes decision-making, and delegates well. Let's move on to the last test, which is the leadership self-assessment test. I have a quite equally distributed score in this test, with the lowest score being 12 and the highest score being 16. The highest is the communication and the lowest is the facilitating ethical conduct, and leading change. So, after knowing about myself better from the test, let's move on to the alignment. In here, I would like to align how I applied what I have learned by explaining first what I have learned. So, what I actually have learned is the holistic thinking itself. It consists of three things, which are the holistic thinking, represented by management or integrate, the system thinking, represented by leadership or implement, and finally the critical thinking, represented by entrepreneurship or innovate, which is in the middle becomes the holistic thinking or improve. So now we move on to the action, where I will explain about how I applied what I have learned in management, leadership, and entrepreneurship. In management, I applied my holistic thinking during my on-the-job training period at Dexamedica, where there I integrate concepts to present a recommendation to the companies in terms of its organizational culture. Next, in leadership, I applied my system thinking during the time I led my group in a group project. That time, I implemented skills I learned to be able to delegate and mentor my group members so the work can be effective and efficient. Next, in entrepreneurship, I applied my critical thinking by being innovative in creating a feasible business plan in the business feasibility study course that I plan to create in the future. Next, we move on to the adoption part. And in this part, I would like to adopt the my career plan by relating about myself. Let's start with the first year. In the first year, 1 year from now, I'm planning to directly work in a company as a professional in HR. And then, 2 years from now, I plan to still work as a professional in HR, trying to climb the corporate ladder to gain experience in trying to create my own startup in service or technology industry. During this period, I might already start building the startup little by little, but focusing on the professional world. In 5 years from now, I would like to start focusing on developing the startup with my co-founders. During this period, I will also start leaving my previous job as a professional and possibly finding other potential co-founders that I encounter during my journey as a professional. In 10 years from now, I will have my startup firmly scattered and developed all around Indonesia. But how do I assure that those things will really go as planned? And so we go to the assurance, where I assure the things I've planned by first, getting an internship in HR department to deepen my knowledge and experience in HR. Therefore, deepening my knowledge in HR means making my chances bigger to be accepted in the company that I am aiming for. The second one is making the business plan in my business feasibility study course and getting several people already as the co-founders. By this, not only I already have the plan in my hand, but I also already gained trustworthy partners who I am already familiar and get along with because they are my friends in IBM. So with this, I already assure that my career plan will be going as I planned. But there are things that might endanger my career plan. Therefore, I have to come up with something to anticipate the risk. So we go to the anticipation part. In here, there are two kinds of risks that must be anticipated, which are the internal and the external risks. The internal risk comes from within myself, and the external risk comes from outside myself. In the internal risk, the risk is that I want to be an entrepreneur in the future after spending several years as a professional. But my score in the entrepreneur theory test is quite low. In fact, it is 29, 1 point below the average, which is 30. Therefore, to to overcome this, I need to improve on this. Next is the external risk. The external risks will be things like political and economical things. It could be like regulation changes for the political risk, and change in the exchange rate or tax in economical that might affect the operation of my startup in the future.
So now I have finished explaining about myself, what I have learned, how I applied what I have learned, and also what I want to be in the future. And now we have reached the end of this presentation. I hope that this video can somehow help students who are about to graduate in the near future. Thank you for listening, and I would like to thank Professor Casey-chan as well for his guidance during IBM, IMM, GSM, and MNENG. God bless you all.